Now let's talk about a new keyword called distinct. So let's look at the example. Find the number of different vendors providing the current list of products. So again, when we run SQL, it would be strongly recommended to look at actual data set for better understanding and try to answer to the question without using SQL, and it will help you out when you make an SQL statements. Okay, so let's do this as a practice. Find the number of different vendors providing the current list of products. So let's investigate the data there. So we are talking about vendors. So if I click vendor, by default it is select start from vendor, and now how many vendors we have? 11 vendors. So now we have 11 vendors, but if you look at product, we have 16 products. And in these products, you already know one vendor can provide many products, and some products there is no vendor. Maybe it's internal production. So if you look at this list of vendor code in the product, we want to know how many different vendors are currently providing actual products. It could be different from the total number of vendors. The reason is some vendors may not provide any product yet. So let's find indeed how many vendors are actually providing the product out of those 11 vendors. Does it make sense what we are looking for? Okay, so let's go to product and let's try to find the information. So here in this vendor code, first of all, it's pretty messy because when we have the same vendor, it's all scattered. So as a kind of review, what we could do, we can sort this product list of products based on vendor code. So let's start with this to get the answers. Here I wanna get selected, and here let's say P code and V code from product table. But if you just retrieve it, its vendor codes are all scattered. Based on what we run, we can do order by V code. By default, it's ascending, or you can specify a descending order as well. Let me just leave it as is. So let's see the result of this query. So I will go back SQL, and if we run it, you run this together. And then now it's a bit better. Okay, we found that 16 products, there are 2 null value. That means there is no vendor for these 2 products. And now it's sorted by vendor code. So let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of 11, actually only total 6 vendors are providing the product. But again, same vendor can provide multiple products. So given this subset, is there any way we can list the vendor code without redundancies? Can we just list the distinct vendor code? For this, now we can use the new keyword distinct. So this time, instead of sorting by vendor code, and instead of a P code, I want to just list only distinct vendor code. In this case, let's use this distinct as the keyword before this column name V code. Now let's run. So let's look at the result. So if you click go, now you can see only distinct values are listed up. So excluding null, now you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different vendor codes. So it's much better to count it. So here for this distinct vendor code, based on what we have learned previously, we can use aggregate function count. So how about applying count function for this distinct V code? So let's count it. So again, move step by step like this. So keep track on what you are performing. So here, let's copy. And then right now, there is one null value, 6 vendor code. So now in SQL, let me use count function and let's click go. What you get? 6. What does this mean? Actually, when you count it, null means there is no value. It's not countable. So only countable 6 vendor codes are counted here. That means only 6 vendors are providing current product. So if you use, for example, alias, let me say here as, this time let me use single quotation mark and we can use even space. So different, how about vendors? And then we will get the final result here. As the different vendors, we have 6. So now we learned how to use distinct. And even using distinct, we can aggregate using counter function. So what we could find different vendors who are providing actual products. As another example of distinct, let's look at this problem. Report the different discount rate. So how can you get the different discount rate? Again, the best approach is look at real data. So in product, where is the discount? Oh, here is the discount rate. So if you skim over, you may easily get, there are just a few number of discount rate, 0%, 5%, 10%. So how can you get this result a little bit more systematically as we have done before? Let's start with select. Let me use select and discount rate. So P discount rate, discount, and then let's say from product, but we want to show only distinct discount rate. So let's apply distinct P discount. So let's run this, how distinct keyword works. So let's see. Okay, so let's look at select distinct P discount from product. Let's click go. So now you can see only distinct values 0, 5, and 10% would be shown here. Now, as the last example of this topic, we will learn about subquery. Subquery means we have select statements, but inside select statement, there is another select statements. That's called subqueries. Outer select statements include inner select statements. So let's look at the example. Report all products with a price greater than the average of all the products. Okay, so to get this answer, first of all, we need to compare each product's price with the average of all the products. In the previous example, I showed you how to get the average of all the products using aggregate functions. So again, let's move step by step. So let's start with this average price as a review. So go back and let me just type one more time. So select what average is, average is the function name, and what's the column, P, price, and from table name, product is table name. So let's run it and let's check whether you can get the average price. So here, go to SQL, and if you run it, click go, and you will get this number 56171250. So let me temporarily copy. This is the result of the first select statements. Suppose we have these numbers, although this number may not be explicitly given, so you cannot hard code it, but to better understand, we want to use this as a kind of result of average price. We will assume we already get it. Then how can we make SQL for this? Report all the products with a price greater than this average price. So now it's easy. So select, and which column? P code, discrete, P price, 3 columns. So P code, P discrete, and P price. Again, just use tab key to complete it automatically. And then the condition, from product and the condition where, which one? P, price. So price is greater than which number? This number, 56.171250. So right now, let me just use this hard-coded numbers. And then, if you copy it in the SQL, it will work. And how many products we have? Currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 products. And our prices are greater than this average price. But in the original question, if you read it, there is no information like actual average price. So average price is this, but it's not given. And you are not allowed to make two separate SQL statements and you can use these numbers. You need to make one complete SQL statement to retrieve this result at once. So now what you have to think about, you need to combine both steps all together. Actually, this is not that difficult because we know that this number is the result of these statements, right? So therefore, instead of these numbers highlighted here, if I add parentheses, inside parentheses, if you just put this first select statements, you will get the same numbers. So let me just change the line and I will just put this select statements. Then if I use some indentation, it's not necessary, but now you can easily figure out, oh, inside here you will get the average price, and this average price is used to compare outside the product, each product's price. So we are using product table 2 times, internally to get the average price, and outside you are going to read all 16 products one more time, and each product's price will be compared with the average price. So let's see whether we will get the same result. So as a final conclusion, here SQL, if you run this query with 2 select statements, you will get the same result. So this kind of query is called what? Subquery, because we have 2 select statements. Later we are going to learn a little bit more complex subqueries, but in this topic this would be sufficient, and it is kind of the last example. So I hope you understand all the basics of SQL manipulation language in this topic, and I will see you in the next topic. Thank you for watching.